Okay, Secretary Gray, it looks like we have most of the attendees in, so the floor is yours.
All right. Well, thank you, Laura. And thanks everybody for joining us again today. I just came off the bridge a few minutes ago where work is proceeding according to schedule. And let me tell you, that's a good thing to be able to say today. Work is proceeding according to schedule for a reopening of the Brent Spence Bridge later this afternoon. That's after a lot of hard work, a lot of determination and determined effort, a lot of persistence, the cooperation of so many people. And I want to thank each and every one of those who has been a part of this really remarkable job. It's been 41 days since the fire on the bridge itself. And in that time, this work has been accomplished. It's been accomplished quickly, but it's been accomplished safely. And that is exactly what Governor Beshear instructed me to do from the very beginning. He said, Jim, I want this job to be done. I want it to be done quickly as we can, and I want it to be done safely. So we are delivering today on a promise to return to the public a fully repaired, a strong and sturdy, a still strong and sturdy Brent Spence Bridge. Vehicles, cars, and trucks will be moving across this bridge again before the day is over. Now, actually, we thought it would be tomorrow. That was the schedule all along. But through a combination of this determined effort that I described earlier, the sense of urgency, and of course, favorable weather, we are able to beat our target by a day. And that's a big win for everyone. Governor Beshear wanted to be here on hand for this event. He has a full schedule, as you can imagine. He'd carved out time on his schedule for the event tomorrow, for the opening of the bridge tomorrow, based on that being the targeted opening date. We recognized there was a chance to open the bridge ahead of schedule, which indeed is what has happened. And so he recorded a message that he wanted me to share with you today. It's a message to acknowledge the hard work and the team effort that went into this project, and a message to the public that the Brent Spence is strong and sturdy and safe, as it has been before and it is today. So here's our governor, Governor Andy Beshear.
Hello, Team Kentucky. I am pleased to announce that very shortly we will be reopening the Brent Spence Bridge to traffic. Right now, road crews are getting everything in place on the bridge and the streets that feed onto it as we prepare to restore the connection between Covington and Cincinnati. It was 6 weeks ago, almost to the day, that a devastating but thankfully not deadly truck fire and crash forced the closure of this key connection. I want to commend Transportation Secretary Jim Gray and his entire team for being laser focused on this emergency repair project. From the start, we knew time was absolutely critical in making this repair. The Brent Spence Bridge is a crucial link in our interstate system for our states and for the country. Thousands of people and goods cross the Ohio River every day. It was paramount that the bridge be repaired and reopened quickly, but with safety driving every decision. There could be no corner cutting. This repair would be done quickly, but it would also be done right. We had a lot of partners in this project, and I want to thank them as well for their help. U.S. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao and her staff reached out to us immediately after the crash back on November 11th. Our friends across the river at the Ohio Department of Transportation, the City of Covington, and Kenton County, the small army of consulting engineers who brought specific expertise to the project. And I want to commend members of the public. For many thousands of you, your traffic routine has been disrupted over the past 6 weeks. Thank you for your patience and the many expressions of understanding that have been received over social media. Also, thank you for playing your part to keep our roadways safe in the surrounding areas when traffic spiked. The reopening of the Brent Spence Bridge is a welcome Christmas gift to everyone this season. Thanks again to everyone who made this major project a reality. Drive safely, protect one another. We appreciate you, Team Kentucky.
We all want to thank the governor for that message. Now, I said earlier that being able to beat our target date is a big win for everyone. And there's another win. We expect the final cost of the repair to be significantly less than what was first expected. You may remember that the U.S. Department of Transportation granted immediate emergency authorization of $12 million for this project. Of course, there will need to be accounting, but we think the actual cost may be as little as half that amount. And it was done amid a global pandemic, a scenario none of us ever had to deal with before. Right now, the crews are on the bridge preparing to paint the stripes for the traffic lanes. That's scheduled to start around noon. Crews will then begin to gradually open the ramps and adjust traffic patterns to allow vehicles to pass over the bridge. Other finishing tasks have included the contractor, Kokosing Construction Company, breaking down its work site and clearing equipment from the bridge, and a final inspection of the construction work and of the repaired portions of the bridge. I'm able to say with complete confidence to you that we are returning to the public a bridge that is strong and sturdy and safe and ready to serve our needs for many more years to come. To put that in context, let's remember where we started just a few weeks ago. From the first hours after the crash and the fire, we've been laser focused, as the governor said, on getting the bridge repaired and reopened without any delay. We expedited as many aspects of the project as we could without compromising safety. That's why Kokosing was under contract just 5 days and was able to hit the ground running just 5 days after the fire that's shown here. Here's how the work unfolded. Of course, this is the bridge, the debris that was removed from the bridge, and the damaged steel and concrete that was clearly visible. This slide is where we had to remove a section of the upper deck and the side barrier walls. This one shows the removal and replacement of 16 steel beams that supported the damaged decking. The next slide shows the installation of the new reinforcing bars, the reinforcing steel for the concrete deck. Then the work shifted to the lower deck. Barrier wall were removed, and the top layer of concrete travel deck was milled away. This diagram, the next one, shows all the new components in place. Now, let me be clear, just like the governor said, there was no cutting of corners at any time in this project of any kind on the construction work. From day one, safety was job one. And we've had lots of partners in this project, and there's no way to name everyone. But I do want to single out the core team from the Transportation Cabinet, beginning with the project coordinator, Stacy Hands. It was Stacy's job to pull together every day the three main tracks of the project: construction, maintenance of traffic, and public information. I also want to commend Corey Wilson, the construction project manager. Ultimately, it fell to Corey to ensure that work was being done to our standards and specifications. Bob Yeager, the veteran chief district engineer of our Covington Highway District, and TJ Gilpin with Division of Maintenance. Collectively, they were responsible for the maintenance of traffic, overseeing the necessary detour and making adjustments as warranted. Now, Tori Digenbu, our executive director for public affairs. She worked day and night, heading the team that kept the public up to date on our progress through social media and a dedicated website. Behind the scenes, we also had great logistical and administrative support from our entire Department of Highways staff in Frankfort. And to echo the governor, we had great support from Secretary Elaine Chao and her staff at the U.S. Department of Transportation, especially Todd Inman, her Chief of Staff, and the Federal Highway Administration, as well as Ohio Department of Transportation, and the City of Covington and Kenton County, where we are today. A special shout out to Kenton County and the City of Covington for their support. Now I want to introduce another of our partners in this project. Jason Stith is a structural engineer who's been involved with the project since literally day one. He's the project manager for a talented team of engineers from the firm of Michael Baker International. Governor Beshear mentioned that we threw a small army of expert consulting engineers at the project, and Jason was among them. Yesterday, Jason was part of the team doing the final safety inspection of the bridge that confirmed the bridge is sound and safe to reopen. He will share more about the inspection work completed to date and how it leads us to opening day. Jason?
Thank you very much, Secretary. It is absolutely my honor to be here today. It's a thrilling day for the state of Kentucky, Ohio, and the connection of our two states. As the Secretary said, I was able to be here from very early on in the project, working alongside a very talented team to try to do the initial evaluation of the bridge. The first aspect of this was determining if it was safe for us even to be out there, right? When you go into a project like this, you don't know the extent of the damage. You don't know the extent of the problems. So our job one was determine, is it safe? And is it safe for us to be there? Followed by that, is it safe for the rest of the traveling public to be on the bridge? The maritime industry that travels under the bridge is a lot of commerce going through here. So we went through and looked at all of the members of the bridge. We had a team of engineers led by the state of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. We had consultants from Michael Baker International, who I represent, as well as Palmer Engineering, Burgess and Nyepel, and Stantec, who came out and lent their expertise. The Ohio Department of Transportation sent experts down, as well as the FHWA, having experts in from Washington, D.C. to help us with the process. There are things you can see when you do an inspection, and a lot of our job was a visual inspection of the bridge, but there are aspects of it that you cannot see. So we brought in metallurgists. We had to do testing of the bridge and steel, and we did find it is safe. There was safety in the bridge from initially, and the majority of the bridge was safe, but it wasn't all safe. And that's the reason we've been here for 6 weeks fixing the bridge. So we went through, determined the scope of work. Where is the damage? What portion has been damaged? And those components were fixed. The design team who worked behind the scenes, was not out in the field, worked tirelessly for those initial days, trying to get the scope of work and the requirements for a contractor to do that. And as the Secretary said, within 5 days, which is an extraordinary speed, we had design plans, we had contractors come out to the site, look at it, look through the plans, and provide a bid, and was under contract. I think we're all fortunate. Kekosing got the job. They did an excellent job on the bridge. Michael Baker was a part of that construction inspection, led by Corey Wilson, who the Secretary said was out here all the way through the process. And those guys worked 24 hours a day, shifts, just like the contractors, ensuring the job was done according to the plans and specifications that we set out. This work was completed, and I was honored yesterday to be able to come out here and do the final safety inspection. This is part of the National Bridge Inventory Standards, which are required. We went through, did a final safety look through all the components, and the job was done very well and done according to the specifications. The bridge today is as safe as it was beforehand. We do not have detrimental aspects from the fire, and I'm thrilled that we were able to be here opening it up right before Christmas. And I appreciate it. I hope everybody out there has a blessed holiday and a safe holiday. Thank you very much, Secretary.
Jason, I should have introduced you as Dr. Jason Stith. Jason actually has a PhD in structural engineering. And as I said earlier, we have been really blessed to have his team and him on this project. Now, while the immediate task we were confronted with was to repair the bridge, of course, a significant focus was on the maintenance of traffic. Rerouting nearly 160,000 vehicles a day that usually cross the Brent Spence Bridge was no casual undertaking. Highway safety, especially during a construction project, is a two-way street. District 6 Chief District Engineer Bob Yeager. You all have seen him, and Bob has been with us many times on this project. Bob and his team did an extraordinary job to adjust traffic patterns, and they monitored the flow of vehicles during the temporary closure. Now that we're getting ready to reopen, Bob will share more with us about the anticipated work to restore traffic to full capacity heading onto the bridge as we reopen today. Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. As mentioned, I'm Bob Yeager. I'm the Chief District Engineer for the Kentucky Department of Highways here in District 6. We're all excited today about the reopening of the Brent Spence Bridge and getting traffic in our region back to normal. It's always been an idea, I guess, when we look at what's going on in the past, the threat of closing one of our major arteries is always been a real challenge for us. Typically, it's only a few lanes at a time, but we were faced with the additional challenge of actually having to close the bridge. The actual closure took a few minutes. The police closed the bridge down. We then came in over the coming weeks to modify and try to move traffic into the best possible scenarios so that they could still continue to get through our region. That was not done in a day, and getting us back to normal will take some time as well. It's important to note that the reopening has to be done in phases. Just like when we closed it, it'll have to be reopened in phases. This is not going to be a NASCAR mad dash. In any highway construction project, maintenance of traffic is a major component. As the Secretary mentioned, we had three major components: of construction, maintenance of traffic, and public relations. All of those have gone well. The maintenance of traffic is the one that probably most people see the most because it affects you every time you go to work. So even if you didn't use the Brent Spence Bridge to get back and forth to work, you're affected by those people who did use it and are now using the road that you used to use. So it'll be a welcoming to open the bridge, not only for those people who use the bridge, but for all of us who don't use the bridge, but have felt the pains of having it closed. It takes extensive planning and time to set up, as I mentioned, and this is especially true in our situation. Here we have two interstates on the Kentucky side. Interstate 71, 75 runs concurrent, and on the Ohio side, they immediately split. So this is one major hub that everybody has felt the pains of all across the region for sure. Plus the fact that we're coordinating very heavily with our partners with the Ohio Department of Transportation. Our part on this is pretty much to keep northbound traffic off the bridge. ODOT, Ohio Department of Transportation, had to keep the southbound traffic off the bridge at the same time. So there is a lot of stuff that a lot of us don't see. We either see one side or the other, but the coordination has been tremendous in order for us to do that. They have the same situation in Ohio that we do here, and that's rerouting all their traffic onto suitable type roads. So what we're having to do now is to undo everything that we've done. And if you've been down through any of these areas or you've seen any of our pictures, you've known we've done a lot. We had over 8 miles of barricades and barrels on Interstate 71, 75. Those all have to be removed to fully restore the proper use of this roadway. What we did last night, we closed the Interstate 71, 75 northbound down at midnight so that we could remove 5 miles of barricades and the barrels. That has all been taken care of. And so that part is, then we had to go in there and sweep that area because the barrels were all in that area. We got all of that ready to go. We still have over 3 miles of barrels and barricades south of I-275, and those all have to be removed again to restore that. That'll be done in phases. Once we get the word that all the traffic, all the construction trucks, all the personnel, all the lanes have been striped, everything has been done, and it's clear to open it, we will get the word to do that. We will open that up in phases. We will move the traffic patterns back to their normal a little bit at a time. We'll reopen the 5 interchanges that we have, the ramps that are now closed going northbound, and gradually put traffic in there. We would ask for your patience if you're planning on using that later this afternoon or this evening, that you be cautious. I know everybody wants to look and see what's going on, but on the bridge is not the place to be kind of gawking. So be careful when you're out there. In closing, let me urge everyone to continue to be patient. I know we're at the end. I know it feels like we're almost at Christmas. I know when I was little and I couldn't hardly wait to get up in the morning to see what the Santa Claus had left me. And this year Santa came 2 days early for me. And I certainly appreciate the hard work and effort that everybody's put in to give me my greatest Christmas gift, I think. But we want to make sure that you do your part for highway safety. Block out the distractions. Try not to look at everything that's going on. If you're going to do that, let somebody else drive while you're looking. We certainly don't want an accident happening in our area anytime soon. We really don't want it happening at all, but we certainly don't want to have it happen just after we open a bridge. So obey the speed limits. I know when we get there, you've been kind of bottled up. You'd like to go a little faster than normal, but the speed limits are still 55 in this area, and we'd like you to respect that. That's good for you, and that's good for everybody around you. And don't forget to buckle up and keep your phones down. I'll turn this back over to Secretary Gray.
Okay, Bob, thank you. Thanks very much, Bob. And thanks for that 48 years of experience that you brought to this project. Now, there's a related matter. It's an important matter that we want to discuss now. And that has to do with there's been a lot of speculation, of course, about the small quantity of potassium hydroxide that one of the tractor trailers was carrying. Now, I've mentioned it several times. It's been mentioned before by others that the quantity of potassium hydroxide was far below the amount that would have qualified as hazmat cargo. The truck was not on the bridge illegally. Let me say that again. The truck was not on the bridge illegally. And there's no reason to think that the potassium hydroxide had any effect on the resulting fire because it is neither flammable nor combustible. Nevertheless, we have listened and we have engaged in discussions at the local, state, and federal level about the long-standing hazmat restrictions on I-71 and I-75. And as a result of those discussions, we will be placing new signage in 2021, just a few months from now, to raise and reinforce awareness of the hazmat restrictions. Now, I'm going to show a graphic here that illustrates. Here is a graphic that illustrates where the signage will be placed, and we'll be sharing that with everyone. As you can see, the white signs will be placed in the ground, and they are identified with the black circles, and the overhead signs will be modified, and they are identified with the green circles. Now, this activity will be done in coordination and consultation with Ohio Department of Transportation, and Bob Yeager is consulting with Ohio Department of Transportation officials to determine the appropriate signage on the Ohio side of the river. All right, so in closing, let me, on behalf of Governor Beshear and our team at the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, express appreciation to the public for your patience these past 6 weeks. Bob talked about it earlier, but that's been a big part of this project, the patience of the public, and we want to thank you. He said it earlier, I'll say it again, we ask for your patience for a few more hours today as our crews on both sides of the Ohio River work to restore traffic lanes to full capacity. So this concludes our remarks today for the Brent Spence Bridge repair project, and we will take questions.
Great, thank you. To start us off with the questions, we have one from Michelle Alfini from Spectrum News, and she would like to know if the bridge closure caused any delays with the vaccine distribution or emergency responses in Covington and Cincinnati. And if so, how much of a delay and how big of an impact will there be on getting the deliveries and emergency operations moving efficiently?
Well, I can answer that simply by saying we are not aware of any delays associated with the vaccine. And in terms of the reopening, well, I've already said that we're on schedule as it relates to the reopening of the bridge later this afternoon.
Thank you. I was also remiss in telling our audience that if you do have a question, you can raise your hand at the bottom of your screen. Just click on the icon and we'll call on you and unmute your microphone. And when you start, if you wouldn't mind saying what your affiliation is, that would be fantastic. And our first speaker is Kiari Patel. Kiari, you should be able to speak now.
Hi, good morning. I'm Kiari Patel with Spectrum News 1 Kentucky. This is good news. The bridge. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Breaking up a little bit, but there we go.
Oh, hi, good morning. This is great news. The bridge is opening a day ahead of schedule. What I wanted to know is a couple of what I wanted to know is, I know the governor is busy, but does he still have plans to still drive on the bridge like he had talked about? And the second thing I wanted to be on the drivers involved in this accident.
I did not get the second question.
The second question involved, is there any liability on part of the drivers who were involved in the accident? I think that conversations leading up to that, or will they be charged? Just wanted to know about that.
That's a law enforcement issue, of course. And it's my understanding that the investigation is still underway, and it wouldn't be appropriate for me really to comment on that. Now, in terms of your first question, I am sure that the governor will travel the new Brent Spence Bridge, the repaired Brent Spence Bridge with his family at some point in time. He said early on that he would only accept a repaired bridge as a bridge that he would take his own family on. And I can tell you that he's been assured of that. You just heard Jason Stith make that assurance. And of course, at some time he'll be traveling with his family on the bridge.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tom Latek from Kentucky Today.
Here, I'm trying to unmute. Took me about 3 tries to get it done. Jim, Merry Christmas to you, first of all.
Oh.
And are you guys going to be sending out some kind of press release or something when the bridge is actually open to fully for traffic passing through?
Well, we're planning on that to occur in a phased pattern, as Bob described. And we're looking at later this afternoon, Tom, for the reopening in phases to actually begin.
Okay, but will you be sending out something so that we know, as I'm sitting here in Frankfurt, and maybe I'll be wanting to leave and head north around 6 o'clock or something like that. Will you be sending out something to say, okay, Brent Spence is now open, you can pass through?
Let me get back to you on that,
Okay.
Tom, okay?
Sure, thanks.
Okay, next we have Chris Wetterick from the Cincinnati Business Courier. Chris, you should be able to speak now.
Good morning, Secretary. Are you not able to say at this point, like a specific time for the bridge to reopen?
Yeah, that's correct, because there's still quite a bit of activity, of course, being engaged to support the reopening of the bridge, the traffic maintenance as well. So we're anticipating this window this afternoon, potentially between 3 and 5 o'clock.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Next we have Hannah Sparling.
Good morning, Secretary. My question is just, I know you said the cost is a lot less than we initially feared, but is the state still pursuing the option of payment from the insurance companies for that, or are we just going to take the federal?
No, of course, we'll pursue we are pursuing any claims that would be eligible. And those claims are being pursued, of course, vigorously. That's a big part. That's simply a part of our project.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and let me tie back to the earlier question about the notifications. What we'll ask you all to do is follow our social media posts. That's going to give you the most current information, and we are, of course, updating that regularly.
Great. Next is Thea Stapleton.
Hi, this is actually Molly Lair. We're both with WLWT in Cincinnati. My question is about some of the local roads in Covington. We've had a lot of reports, specifically around 8th and Pike Streets, that those roads have been damaged as a result of higher traffic because the bridge is closed. So are there plans to repair those streets? And is there the possibility that some of those federal funds could go toward that, since those damages happened as a result of the Brent Spence being closed?
You know, that's a good question. And we'll need to look into that, but I can say from the outset that if there are tangential or associated impacts, that the emergency funding is likely to be appropriate for those repairs. Now, don't know that for sure, but it's a good question, and we'll look into it.
Great, thanks, Molly. Next, we have Christian Hauser from WKRC. Christian, you should be able to speak now.
Thank you very much. In a lot of ways, we lucked out in the timing of this due to the pandemic and fewer cars being on the road. We also lucked out in the fact that there were no major accidents up until yesterday on any of these other highways that the cars and vehicles were being diverted to. This obviously shows the need for that companion bridge. How does the state move forward in getting that to happen 2 decades after it's been cited as a need for the area? I guess what will be done? Because I mean, obviously it would have been a 471 had closed down, or one of the 275 bridges is closed down. This would have created an even larger nightmare.
Yes to all of the above. I have learned a lot in the last 6 weeks about the Brent Spence Bridge and about the plans for a companion bridge. And I can tell you that from a technical point of view, it's needed. Now, in order to get to the consensus that's required on a mega project like this, we have to have a lot of support, and we have to bring collaboratively a lot of folks to the table. And the good news in a bad situation like we've had is that it certainly illuminates the need. And I'm very hopeful that this will inspire the communities that are involved in this project to come together and to work together to achieve a result that is clearly needed. Because what's occurring today and what we saw yesterday are congestion issues that are simply unacceptable in a modern economy. And again, I'm very hopeful. You know, a lot of people have, through this incident and through this crisis really have recognized the need to make progress and to move forward. So as I've said, I'm hopeful.
Okay, well, that looks like it's the last of our questions.
Laura and your team, thank you very much. I want to thank everybody again who has been involved in the project. We've still got a few hours to go here. There's some work still to be done, but thanks to each and every one who has been involved in the project. Thank you.